State Department is warning diplomats and their families to avoid Jerusalem.
There are fears of violence after President Trump said he intends to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and later move the U.S. embassy there. KCAL 9 political reporter Dave Bryan has more on this major developing story. Dave.
Critics charge this is a huge departure from about 70 years of U.S. policy, but supporters say that policy hadn't done so well in the last 70 years. Maybe it's time for a change. Tonight, President Trump is on the verge of recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. It's a risky and volatile decision that would be trashing decades of U.S. Middle East policy and risking violent protests against the U.S.
We're very happy to have all of you here.
President Trump will make it official on Wednesday, announcing that the U.S. will recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and will direct the State Department to begin the process of moving the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem, a process White House officials say could take several years to complete. The president, they say, is merely keeping a campaign promise, but several leaders in the region, including Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, warned Mr. Trump. There could be grave consequences and possible violence if he does. Another Palestinian leader said Trump's decision would destroy any hope of negotiating a two-state solution with Israel, which the U.S. has heretofore supported.
The U.S. is delivering a lethal bullet to the heart of the two-state solution. That would be actually the kiss of death to the two-state solution.
But many Israelis say the Palestinians are delusional if they think a portion of Jerusalem could belong to them.
Driving a carving knife across and through and meandering across a living city would be a mistake.
The problem is both Jews and Muslims claim Jerusalem as their religious capital, and here's why. This illuminated wall is the Western or Wailing Wall, one of the holiest sites for Jews. And right down the street is one of the domes of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, one of the most sacred sites for Muslims. The White House says the president will make his decision official.
Tomorrow the president will deliver remarks regarding this action. The president, I would say, is pretty solid in his thinking at this point.
We expect of President Trump to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's united capital.
When you look at a place that's on the verge of an explosion, you do not introduce a flame.
Palestinian Hanan Ashwari was interviewed by CBS News.
Officials in the Trump administration have said that some of these moves could jumpstart peace.
These moves could jumpstart peace, they would scuttle peace.
And tonight, the leaders of Jordan, France, and Turkey also have protested President Trump's Jerusalem decision. Turkey's President Erdogan threatened to cut all ties with Israel, declaring that recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital is a deal breaker for Muslims, a line that won't be crossed. Now, it may or may not be a disaster for U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East, but the fact that President Trump is taking these steps should not be surprising. During the presidential campaign, he appealed to Christian evangelicals and extremely conservative Jews, many with Israeli connections, by promising to move the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem, a dream come true for those groups. And now that's exactly what he's doing, regardless of warnings that there could be dire consequences. So we'll hear more tomorrow from the president on this.
Dave, any indications of when these protests may begin, and do you believe that we may see some violence because of his decision?
I think that this will begin pretty quickly, actually, to tell you the truth, because late Tuesday, Palestinian and Islamic groups called for 3 days of popular anger to protest the decision. That will begin tomorrow outside U.S. embassies and consulates around the world, and of course in the Palestinian territories. As for possible violent retaliation, the State Department's urging American embassies worldwide to tighten their security. And in Jerusalem, the U.S. consulate is warning its employees and their families to stay away from areas where they could be targeted, like the West Bank and the Old City. So back to you.